basketball season is right around the corner as well. Lots of Ben Simmons news getting back into the headlines as NBA training camps open in a week. And nobody to talk basketball better than our friend Doug Gottlieb from Fox Sports Radio, who joins us now here on the Blitz. And again, Doug, you look at Ben Simmons, according to all the reports, is going to refuse to show up for camp. Does Daryl Morey pull the trigger sooner, or do you think he's going to wait until he gets the exact deal he's looking for?
Oh, I mean, I think he's definitely going to get what he's looking for. It's interesting. We all kind of evolve on topics, and I would have told you a year or 2 years ago, like, hey, if you're Ben Simmons, you got to show up, and if you're the Sixers, you got to make him show up. I think I've evolved on that because I talked to some people on some proteins. They're like, when you have something like this where the guy clearly wants out and you've already kind of made it known that you're willing to move him, you don't really want that to run your team, especially the start of a new year, when you're trying to kind of refresh and, out with the old and in with the new. Like, it's just like a Debbie Downer to constantly have reminding you of what went wrong last year. And if he's not in, he's not in. So, don't force him to be in. But I mean, look, I think he's a very valuable piece. You're going to have to find the right GM and the right situation in order to make it work. But it's not like there's a lack of talent there. And people in the league respect the kid's talent. It just, obviously the mental aspect of it and even the physical aspect of it, because the shot hasn't looked better. But his inability to even take some of those shots is alarming to a lot of people.
Doug, when I think about Ben Simmons and where he could end up, and San Antonio continues to be linked, and I just don't see it for a variety of reasons. And one, if you're the Spurs, you can't give up the first-round draft picks because you're in rebuild, although if there are multiple teams involved, maybe. But even then, if you add Ben Simmons to what the Spurs currently have, yeah, you might say this is a playoff team. But you're not going to add Ben Simmons to what you currently have without losing some of your current young players. I just don't connect the dots to see how Ben Simmons can end up a Spur, yet the Spurs continue to be linked to Ben Simmons.
Yeah, it's a weird one because I can't agree with you. And I do think, one of the things that they value all the things the other things that he does, but I think they also really value shooting. It's one of the reasons that they've drafted so many foreign-born players, right? They're all of their fundamental skills and toughness, based upon their evaluations, they believe are better fits for how they want to play. And so I think it'd be interesting if they have a guy who's a non-shooter. Are they going to play, how everybody else is playing, play around, does he become their Giannis type, for example, which I think is what everybody's trying to figure out is, can he be a Giannis? Can he be a guy you can surround him with shooters to give him the space to operate? Whereas when you have Embiid, they're just, even though Embiid can shoot, like he's 7 feet tall, you don't want him only shooting jump shots because there's no space because Simmons guy's in the way. So can he be something more than a guy who stands in the dunker? And I don't know how. I also think that, look, he's a guy who's dated a Kardashian. He's a guy who clearly likes the spotlight, likes Los Angeles. Like, I don't know how that goes with Pop's mantra of getting over yourself. He's definitely not over himself. So I don't see it. But I didn't see, like, it was like remember when LeBron was, before he signed with the Lakers, or some people, maybe you go to San Antonio. Like, you ain't going to San Antonio. You got to get over yourself. That's not LeBron. So I don't see it, but I've heard the same things. It's like, hey, keep an eye on San Antonio, because you and I have discussed this before. The only chance San Antonio has of getting this caliber of player isn't via free agency. It's not. It's, you got to take him when he wants out of town, or if it's a terrible contract. Like, that's what they're setting themselves up for. That's what small market basketball is going to look like. And, until something changes where, the rest of the guys it's always going to be a Miami, an LA, maybe even a Houston, a New York, a Chicago, and all of the other small market ones have to do hey, we're going to take, a bunch of draft picks, try to hit on one of those, and then maybe take a bad contract or two when we're finally in position to try and compete.
Doug Gottlieb from Fox Sports Radio joining us here on the Blitz on San Antonio Sports Star.